the jumpers in this triple jump final as we go down this list. The India represented by Govindaraj from Belize. Second up will be Kay Devon. Another Indian representative with Mathol Kanan. Right, let's match the names to the faces. A far better situation and scenario to put in place, so you can recognise these athletes as they come into their attempts. It'll be done in jumping order, and you can see them sort of lining up, waiting to be introduced to the stadium and the crowd. And we're ready to go. So we'll follow the camera. We'll take the camera will follow them down the queue, and the stadium announcer will take his turn and introduce them to the crowd. So in the camera at the moment is the first up in the competition, as it will be, is Govindaraj, the Indian. She was a 2010 World Junior finalist at 100 metres hurdles and triple jump, so she's a talented girl. And there she is, Govindaraj of India. Personal best of 13:58 set this year. This is Vaughan of Belize. She's got a personal best of 12 metres 11. Mathol Kunal, the second Indian competitor here, has a best of 13:68 this season and set in 2010. Nadia Williams from England, 13:68 she's jumped this year. Charles of Canada, she's got the henna hand, so is that a good omen? 13:99, she'll be pressing for medals in this competition. Nambabwa of Uganda, she's jumped 13:95, and that's another competitor close to that 14-metre mark. Yasmin Regis has jumped 13:32, she's the second competitor from England. The Nigerian Antonye, she has a best of 13:66 set this year, personal best slightly better, set in 2006. Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago, her best is 13:99, and we can expect her to be in the medal zone later. And then the defending Commonwealth champion, Trisha Smith of Jamaica, 14:13 this year, but in 2004 she jumped 15:16 and is a live contender in this evening's competition. And to finish the lineup is the Indian Malia Kaul of India, 23-year-old, who has a best of 13 metres 42. And the fact that we have 3 Indians in this competition means that we're going to have a lot of crowd participation, whether it be through noise or clapping, rhythmical clapping, to assist them on the run-up. And let's hope they join in the spirit and make it a fair competition and support all of the athletes in this triple jump final. So the first jumper, when the officials have moved the cone from the jump line, and we're just waiting. I can see from that shot that the Indian Govindaraj, and off she goes. First attempt, and the first jump in the triple jump for women final. Well, we're just going to go back to the board and just make sure that that was got the white flag. I'm pretty certain it has. And she's got a best of 13:58 this year. This 90-year-old young jumper from India, very aggressive during those second and third phases. The hop perhaps needs a little bit more work, but just waiting for the score to come up on the board, and she's got 12.96, and she's running into a slight headwind there of -0.2, so that minus sign indicates a little headwind straight into her face. So 12.96 in the triple jump is up and running. Next up to jump is Vaughan of Belize. Now, her best is just 12 meters 11, so unless she can pull out a massive personal best, she won't be threatening that jump by the Indian Govindaraj in the first round, her first attempt. So first attempt for Vaughan from Belize. She's also the record holder of the high jump in Belize, and she has a PB of 1 meter 7. She's off and running. Here she goes. Oh well, you know, she's got a heavily strapped right shin, and she hit the board, but unfortunately her phases, the threes, hop, step and jump in the triple jump, she gets a no jump because she wasn't going to get into the pit. So coach comes over and says, how's it feeling, that injury? And I think she's probably feeling it. It certainly looks as though she might be. So we're going to go to the third competitor in this event now, and this is the second Indian to have her attempt, and this is Mithali Kunnal from India. She's 22. She's got a personal best of 13.68, again set this year. So let's see what she can do on her first jump. Good speed, springy legs, and the Indians in the crowd like it. She gets the white flag, so she's on the board or just off the board. There it is. It was close to being into that plasticine. Just loses her position as she comes in, and actually, as we see, she's on the board. And 13.43. First jump for the Indian. Next up on the runway is Nadia Williams. Competes for Shaftesbury Barnet Harriers in England. She's 28 years old now, Nadia. She has a personal best from this year, set this year, 13.68 in 2010, and that's her lifetime best. So she has a great opportunity here. Fantastic conditions. Slight headwind. It'd be better if we had a tailwind here, but I don't think it's enough to affect these jumpers. It's beautifully warm in the arena, and the crowd are participating. And Nadia Williams is getting ready for her first jump. A picture of concentration as she considers, and she's off. First round jump for Nadia Williams, England. And I think I could see that right foot take off, going over the plasticine, and you can see the board judge is there with his red flag. So she's going to have to make some adjustments to her run-up. It's warm. She's missed it by 2 inches. Too far. And she's going to have to make an adjustment at the back of the runway. -0.3 on that. And coach assisting Nadia there is Peter Stanley. Coach to Jonathan Edwards, the world record holder and Olympic champion from Sydney. Now, next up is Tabia Charles of Canada. Now, she is a live contender for medals this evening. She's jumped 13.99 this year and is set as her personal best set earlier this season. And she was 10th in the Olympic long jump in 2008 in Beijing. So she has some quality, and she had a windy mark of 14.24 that she jumped in 2007. She was 10th in Beijing in the long jump, not the triple jump, but the long jump, and she's been the long jump Canadian long jump champion in 2007, 08, and 2010. First in the triple jump in 8, 9, and 10. Coached by Gregory Portney. Now, I'm sure her legs aren't marked like that with tattoos. I'm pretty certain they're going to be some colourful tights. I don't think they're going to be there to keep her warm. I think they're just used as a bit of compression, and they look nice. I think you have to look nice on the runway, it always helps. So, Charles of Canada sets off on her first round throw. In she comes to the board, and she's off. And you can see the 14-meter mark there with the hoarding by the side of the pit. She didn't threaten that. And we're just waiting for the distance to come through and come on the caption. Go and have a quick chat with the coach to just say, get your running style a little bit more relaxed. She seems to be a bit army and a bit leggy as she comes down the runway. And the distance is 13:29, so she moves into second place. The 2 there indicates after 5 jumps she's now in second place in the triple jump final. Now, next up in the triple jump for women in this final is Sarah Nambwa of Uganda. She's just decided that she needs to put a bit of water in the system. Now she's got a best of 13.95, 25-year-old from Uganda. She's the Ugandan record holder and the 2010 African champion. So she has a pedigree. She has a long jump personal best of 6:32 outdoors, set in 2009, and she was 6th in the World Student Games triple jump in 2009. So she has some pedigree, she has some quality, and that's Nambawa of Uganda, getting ready for her first attempt in the triple jump final. Off she goes. Good speed. Not a lot of range on her jumps and her phases. Good speed into the board. Just waiting for the flag to go up. She gets the white flag. The marker goes into the pit. The officials set that up in the automatic measurement system. She just seems low and flat. Tries to get out of it in the second phase to get the jump in, but the hop was just not quite effective to get her and set her up. However, 13.34 puts her into second place currently in this competition after the first 6 competitors. And again goes the coach. Coaches can speak to these athletes now fairly closely and talk about their run-up and have a chat about what's going on. Now, second English girl in the competition. This is Yasmin Regis. She's got a best of 13.32, the 23-year-old. She's been a junior champion in this event a couple of times, and Jason, her brother, was a professional footballer. Her uncle Cyril Regis was an England international in the 80s, and she's a cousin and relative of John Regis, Great Britain's great 200-meter runner. So Yasmin Regis has her first attempt in the triple jump final for women. Heavily strapped on that left ankle. And she sets off for her first attempt. Well, she seemed to lose the rhythm. She'll get a no jump on that. She has a very heavily strapped left ankle and shin. It's a takeoff foot, so again she'll be going to Peter Stanley just to get the feeling of what happened there. She seemed to set off quite well in the initial phase of the jump. 12.27 she gets, so they're going to mark it, but she didn't get a jump in on the last phase there and seemed to hang too much on the step phase. Now, next to jump is Ontonye of Nigeria. She's jumped 13.65, 34 years old now, and in 2006 she was the Nigerian Women Athlete of the Year, following her medals at the Commonwealth Games in Manchester and the African Championships in that year. So Ontonya is on the runway for her first attempt in this evening's triple jump final. She's on the board and get the phases into the pit, and a comfortable opener for Antonia on her first attempt this evening. Not the quickest on the runway, gets her foot down quickly, doesn't get any great height off the board to take it to the next phase, and you can see from the front on, hop right to right, step, the step just crumpled as she landed prior to the jump phase, and her hips dropped down a fraction. So we're just waiting. 12:42 puts her fifth after the 8th competitor. She's the 8th competitor to start in this event, and 12:42 first attempt. Now this is Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago. She has a personal best this year set in 2010 of 13.99. So can we expect some fireworks? I think it's about time we had some fireworks in this competition. Nobody's really got into this. She's roaring. She's roaring like a lion. Now can she jump like a cougar? Great socks as she comes in. First jump for Alexander from Trinidad and Tobago. Good speed. Oh well, I think that probably takes the biscuit so far in the first round of this competition. We've still got Tricia Smith, the defending champion, to run, but good speed on the runway. Sean's astride a little bit just to make sure she gets her foot on the board and springs into life in the jump phase. So carries on running, hop to hop to step, good height on the jump phase, and that wouldn't surprise me to see her take the lead in this event so far. So the distance is coming up. Yep, 13.68. She takes the lead and is now in first position with 13.68. Next up to jump is the defending Commonwealth Games champion, Tricia Smith of Jamaica. She may be jumping less than she has previously this year because she's now working as a physiotherapist in North London, but she is still the quality jumper in this field. And quality is that she's the only girl in this field that's jumped over 14 meters this year in 2010. She, just to remind you, she has a best of 15 meters 16, and that was set in 2004. Off she goes, first attempt for Smith in the triple jump. Good speed. That looks as though the foot, although it's around the 40-meter mark on the board, she gets the red flag. Now she'll be just saying, perhaps I was a bit excited, but she's well over the board on that. You know, half her foot in her terms. So she's going to go to coach Frank Cato. And I know perhaps Frank's not here tonight, but she was coach, so she's gone over to the Jamaican team coach and just checked out what's going on in a run-up, and she's going to have to make some adjustments to make sure that her second round attempt gets registered mark. Now to wrap up the first round, the 11th competitor in the triple jump final, this is Malia Kal of India. She's got a best of 13.42 this year, and the crowd are going to be behind her. Here they go. So the third Indian in this competition, she's wrapping the competition. She's the last competitor to jump, the 11th competitor in the field. We've just got 11 in this final. She's pretty slim, she's tallish, and she's jumped 13.42 this year. She's 23 years of age. The crowd are going to help. Good speed, good attack, and the crowd will like that. Now, this is good attacking speed into the takeoff zone. She misses the board, tends to overtake a little bit, but covers it and then shoots those legs out into the sand. For a 13:42 jumper, and she was a mile off the board, look. An absolute mile. So we're waiting for that distance to come up. She's got a best of 13:42 set this year, or 13:54 is her PB, set in 2009. 13:34 on her first jump, and that concludes the first round. So after the first round, we have the Trinidadian. After the first round, we have the lead set at 13:68. That's the Trinidad and Tobago athlete, but this is Govinda Raj, the Indian, who starts the second round off. Here she goes. She's on the board. She just missed, so she's obviously just... I was anticipating it was close, but she's obviously put her foot on the plaster. Let's have a look. Yep, she's 2 inches over the board there. So adjustments have to be made to her run-up to make sure she catches that board. And he's showing her just so that she can have a look at the spike marks. And of course that plasticine is crucial for jumpers and coaches, especially when there is a very tight decision on whether the red flag is justified or not. And we're now going to go and go to the second jumper in the second round, and that's Vaughan of Belize. Now, in the first attempt, she didn't quite make the pit, but I'm sure she's going to concentrate now, having had a word with her coach, despite the strapping on the shin on the right leg and a strapping on her left ankle. You can see that no jump on the first attempt. So, Vaughan of Belize is getting ready to go for her second jump. Off she goes. She's not the quickest on the runway, and she's there, but she gets the red flag. So a much better attempt by the athlete from Belize, but she put her foot over the plastic. Oh, look at that, just touched the front edge of that blue plasticine, and you can see the spike actually took some of it out of the plasticine. So she's going to go and have a look and just check. She says that was a bit close. So the girl from Belize has 2 no jumps. She's a great experience with a 24-year-old, and she's a high jumper too, and he's placing a hand on her head and just saying, look, you'll be okay on the last one. So third up in the second round is the Indian athlete. We'll hear the noise of the crowd starting to get behind this this athlete, and this is Mathali Kunal. So Mathali Kunal, she currently resides in second place with 13 meters 43, and this is her off on her second jump. Good running action. She's nice and leggy and long, and that could be slightly better than her first round attempt of 13:43. Well, I think as this competition progresses and the Indians get into the medal zones, then we're going to get a crowd that is going to get very excited indeed, which will be great for the event. So she's on the board. Let's just see her foot coming in. Whoa, you couldn't get close to that. That's a great jump in terms of spacing. Good hop, stays hips high, good step, gets some height off the final phase into the jump. And I think that's a slight improvement by the Indian. And there you go, 13:58. The wind has changed around a little bit. She was in second before her first second jump, and she stays in second place and improves to 13:58. Now, Nadia Williams had a no jump in the first round, and she'll be looking to make sure that this one counts, because in the first phase of this final, all girls get 3 jumps. The top 8 go forward to the next phase of the competition in reverse order, and we'll talk about what happens after that when we get there. No jump in the first round, and I bet you can't wait. So, Nadia Williams, this is her second attempt tonight. Foul jump in the first round. Poised to set off down the runway to the board and then to project herself in those 3 phases into the pit. Williams of England. Well, that was a much tidier jump from Nadia. She's got a best of 13.68 this year, so if she can jump that, she's going to be pushing for a medal zone. So good running speed, good action. Right foot onto the board. Bit toey on that phase, that second phase, but she jumps out into the pit and whoa, right there. That couldn't be any closer to a foul, so that's great jumping off the board. Hop to step to jump, and we're just looking for some more height off that phase, so we're just waiting for the distance to come up. But 13.51 for Williams, that puts her up into the bronze medal position currently, and 13.51 for her with a plus 0.1 of a wind breeze behind, so it's swirling around a little bit down there. And the next on the runway is Charles of Canada. So she had 13.29 on her first attempt, and we remember her for her snazzy tights that she's got on. She'll be just waiting to be told by the officials when she can start and prepare to jump. You can see there from the caption 13.29 with a very slight minus wind, running into a wind. She with 13.29 she currently resides in 6th position. That's that 6. So the judge, you can see in the screen, slightly out of focus, but he's the man in charge of the bollard that's placed in front of the takeoff board, just to make sure that the sand is nicely scraped and sorted. And it does look as if they're going to be waiting for Jerusalem to echo around the stadium for Andy Turner's great win in the 100 hurdles. In fact, it's a bit of a celebration because the Englanders got 1, 2 and 3 in the 110 metre hurdles tonight. Turner followed by Sharman, followed by Clark. So great performance by the England trio in that event. So Charles of Canada is just going to have to wait patiently while the echoes of Jerusalem. I don't think they know the words, the boys on the podium, but there you go. They'll go back for some lessons perhaps, and they'll learn them over time. So Charles, very patient. She's currently, as we said, she's currently in 6th position in this event. The leader at the moment is the girl from Trinidad and Tobago, Alexander, who jumped 13.68 with a 0 wind on her first jump. And I've just noticed that actually is, it says it's a new national record, but she has a personal best of 13.99, so we'll have to check that out. So, Charles now getting into position to start preparations to start off on her second attempt in this triple jump final. 13.29 into a slightly minus wind on her first attempt. In she comes. Oh, lost control in the final phase. So I can't see whether she's got, you can see from front on, she's on the board. Good hop, stays high with her hips, shortened step, and then just loses control of the jump phase, and should be registering a lesser jump on that one. 12.68, 0 win. So it's well done on her first jump, and we'll move on to Nambawa of Uganda, who in the first round jumped 13 meters 34. She got a best of 13.95. So again, expectations from the Ugandan athlete is to get into that mid to high 13-meter jumping distances, or the zone in the pit. And she's trying to get the crowd going on her side. So this is Nambawa of Uganda. She's up and running. Good speed onto the board. It's all over pretty quickly, the phase. There doesn't seem to be any time between those three phases. So we'll have a look at the slow motion replay to see whether she can just calm and relax it down. There's good speed onto the board. She's just short of the board, steps out, and then the jump just looks a bit out of control with the rotation twisting as she comes in. Now you'll see she's short of the board, so that's another foot we could add on if she was on the board. Hop to hop, strides out to the step, and then tries to get the feet together in the jump phase, the final phase of the jump. And it's a slight improvement, 13.55. She takes over in the third medal, the bronze medal slot. And Nambawa showing some of the promise that she obviously has, because she has a personal best of 13.99. So 13.55 takes her into third slot at the moment. Now, next up is Yasmin Regis, who lost control of the final phase of her first attempt. And she wants to get the crowd going too. 12.27, pretty poor attempt on the first attempt. She's in ninth at the moment, which means she won't make the cut. If she stays in ninth, she's got to get in the top 8 to be able to do that. So she has probably one of the strangest pre-set routines before she goes off on the runway. I don't know where she got it from, but I've seen her do that a few times. So she's off, running. On the board. Up. And that's a better attempt from Regis. She's happier with that. She nods to the coach. That was a better attempt. She's on the board here. You can see she gets a white flag. And she seems to have equality across her phases. That's a great jump onto the board. Good pictures. And that strap left foot seems to hold up. Good hop, time in the air, and then pings off into the jump. And we're just waiting for that distance to come up. And it's a 13.55. That's a marked improvement on the first round. And you can see she's moved into 4th place at this phase of the competition. And we're 2/3 through the second round of jumps. Now, next up to jump is Antonye from Nigeria. Now, she's along with Tricia Smith, she's the oldest competitor in tonight's final, and she has a best of 13.74 set in 2006. But this year she's jumped 13.65. So 12.42 was a bit disappointing as an opener, but she is capable of further. And let's see if she can get further into the pit. If she goes into the board, it all seems pretty low, and you can see from the caption she's just over 13 meters. So on the board is she? Gets a foot on the board. And she's over 13 meters. The event leader is that yellow line. So where is she on the board? We can see that's a great position on the board. So she's not wasting any space here with this attempt. And we're just waiting for distance to come up. And it's an improvement. 13:21 puts her in that 8th position, which is key to going and progressing in the competition. Now, the event leader, 13:68 on her first jump, Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, she needs to improve because I reckon they're going to be queuing up to attack 13:68 as we progress through this competition. Bollard's moved away. That's the signal for the clock to start counting down. There you can see on the left side of your screen, they get a minute per jump. Reinforcing, event leader number 1, 13:68 with a 0 meter per second wind. And she'll start her run, clock starts, so she's a legal jumper. Here we go, good speed. Oh, and she's got onto that jump. Does it get the white flag? It does. So, my impression is that Alexander improves on her lead. She's great on the board. Arms and legs everywhere, but the net effect is further into the pit, so we like it. Great on the board. Active into the phases, so she's got a great off the board, right to right, great step, high knee, leg shoot into the pit. That's the best jump tonight, and we're just waiting for the distance to come up, but I think that's considerably better than her first attempt. 13:91 consolidates her lead after her second jump, and that's just a whisker off her 13:99 personal best that she set earlier this year. Now, what can the defending champion do about that? She's got a best of 14 meters 13 in 2010. We know she's gone over 15 meters in the past, but those days have gone. But 14 meters would be enough to take the lead as the competition progresses. So, Tricia Smith defending her title as she won in Melbourne, and quite capable of doing that, but she had a no jump on her first round attempt. And that no jump needs to be put into the context that they get 3 attempts before the field is reduced to 8 competitors. So it's important that she sets a mark. So the bollard is out the way. The clock will start counting down. She wants some help from the crowd. 59 and it's off. She looks focused. Great camera shots of Tricia Smith. Look at the concentration. Now, good running. We like the running. Good speed into the board. Looks like another red one. It's long. Oh, it's a white flag. So she's on the board. I got that wrong from this position. Here we go. Foot on the board. It looked incredibly close, but you can see the quality here. High knees in the step phase. Sets her up for a great jump. Wow, right on the board. Great from Tricia Smith, showing her experience. And, you know, we could be seeing our first 14-meter jump of the evening. 0 win, that's the win gauge you can see just in the background. What's she got? Oh yes, 14:19, 0 meters per second. And she takes and jumps into, literally, the leader's spot. We have 1 jump to go, and that's the new season's best for Tricia Smith. So, last in the first round is Malia Kaur of India. Now, she's got a best of 13:42 this year, and in the first round she jumped 13:34, so just off that best. So, with the crowd screaming and supporting, she's got every opportunity to actually get stuck in here and get towards that 40-meter line. Again, we're seeing some strange starting postures. She's off running, good sprinting style, into the board. She missed the board. Well, she was a mile away from the board, and she knew that, and it put her off for the first and second phase of the jump. So her hop was disturbed by just being, you know, these jumpers know that when they hit the board, they've got a surface to give them some response to. Gives response to the foot when it's placed on that wooden board. So they measure it 11:51, but that won't matter in the scope of the competition. So the Indian concludes the second round, and we now move into this crucial third phase where all the athletes have their third jump, And Govindaraj of India is lining up to take this third jump. Now Govindaraj has 12.96 from the first round. She needs to improve on that. And unfortunately misses the board. And Govindra will be out of this competition because she has no more attempts now. She was residing in 10th position and will stay in 10th position on the basis that she's got 12.96. The girl in 11th, the girl from Belize, has registered 2 no jumps, so she hasn't got a mark yet to her name, and it's going to show her where her takeoff position was. So we're going to move to the next jumper pretty quickly, and that's going to be Vaughan of Belize, the other athlete who's just behind this girl, who hasn't registered a jump. So a bit disappointed for the Indian. So this is Vaughan of Belize. So this is an important jump for the Belize athlete because she has 2 no jumps. She hasn't got a distance registered, and the first one she was short of the pit, the second one she went in the pit but unfortunately fouled the board. So can she get a jump registered this evening? It'll be very disappointing if she can't. Off she goes. And again, she didn't get into the pit. I'm pretty certain they won't be able to measure that because there's no mark. So unfortunately, the Belizean has had 3 no jumps and is now out of the competition. She finishes, well, she doesn't register a jump, so she unfortunately will be recorded as did not start or did not finish. She'll be very upset athlete. But that's athletics. That's the pressure, the cauldron of the games. Now we've got Mithali Kulnu of India. She currently holds the bronze medal spot with 13.58. Clock's counting down and she's off. 13.58 on her second attempt. Good running style. We like this. On the board. Just collapsed in the final phase. She gets the white flag. And if she only could have stood up at the end of these 2 phases. So there you go, first phase, second phase looking good, and then just head down, hips down, didn't extend the legs out in front of her into the pit, and wasted all the good work of the first 2 phases of the jump. $13.32 doesn't beat that second round effort of $13.58, so she currently still stays in 3rd position. That's a medal position as we move through the 3rd round. Next up, Nadia Williams of England. $13.51 in the second round, so she's in reasonable shape. No jump on the first one, slightly plus win on that second jump, $13.51. And it's pretty tight at the medal end. We've got 4 girls within 70 metres from the bronze medal down to 6th place, which is where Nadia Williams currently lies after the second round. So this is Williams of England with her second jump. Off she goes. Is she on the board? I think so, and that could be a slight improvement. Yep, we get the white flag, I can see from the other side of the stadium. That's brilliant. So Williams is on the board. She's off and running and jumping. 2 good phases, then great lift off that second phase to get her jump in. Effective jumping, good on the board, we can see from that. And stays nice and tall at the hips, stays up, stays tall, and bounds into the sand. So, 13.66 goes into 3rd place. So Williams sneaks into the bronze medal position with 13.66. That overtook the Indian Malthala Kunal, who had jumped 13.58. And now Charles of Canada has to respond. She's actually jumped 13.29 on her first jump, and then had a disaster in the second. Although it might have coincided with the hole appearing in her tights around her left knee. But she's quick into the runway, into the board. Long legs. This competition starting to warm up. Got the white flag for Charles on her third attempt. Here she comes, chops the strides a little bit onto the board. Long legs into those step phase, then off that step phase into the jump. Great position on the board. Got time looking forward. Running fast, reacting to the floor, good jump, and we're waiting for the distance to come up, and it's 13.24, so not quite as good as the first round, and she's holding the 8th position at the moment. So one of our 13.99 jumpers is under a bit of threat because she's in 8th currently, and it will only take one athlete that follows now to take her out of that position and take her out the top 8. Nambawa of Uganda, lining up for her third attempt. She currently is in 5th place with 13.55. So we're waiting for the officials just to clear the pit, clear the sand, and Nambawa of Uganda is on her way for her third attempt in this first phase of the competition. Good speed. She's like a skipping stone, isn't she, across the water. Doesn't get the height of some of the girls, but she's fast, she's nimble, and it's just whether she's got the timing right to take advantage of that speed. Now we can see that she's good on the board from that angle. She stretches out in the phase, just loses control in that final phase, and good on the board. And that looks very similar to her earlier attempt. Out of balance, and you can see the body twisting in that slow motion replay. And 13.50, would you believe it? 13.55, exactly the same as her second attempt. And she stays in 5th position currently. So we got a presentation going on. They will stop the competition while the anthem is played, and the next to jump in the triple jump competition will be Regis of England. Now it's quite interesting because Regis has jumped 13.55, the same as Nambawa of Uganda, but by the mere fact that Nambawa now has 2 13.55 jumps under her belt, it means that she's in 5th, and Regis, who's jumped the same but has a lesser second backup jump, means that Nambawa goes into 5th and Regis is in 6th. The leader of the competition currently is Smith of Jamaica with 14 meters 19. Second is Alexander of Canada, Trinidad and Tobago with 13.91, and then we've got Williams of England in the third medal position with 13.66. This young lady, Regis, with the famous relatives, John Regis, the sprinter, Cyril Regis, her uncle, the former footballer. So great pedigree to have running through your family. And she'll be now stepping onto the runway at the conclusion of the anthem. And we're just now waiting for Regis to see if she can improve on 13.55. Now she's safely in the top 6 at the moment, top 8, but she loses 5th position by the fact she has a poorer second jump than Nambawa, the Ugandan, who has the same distance. So 13.55 in 6th position. Countdown clock's definitely on its way, and she's now starting to get into that familiar pose now that we have seen her go into. Leans back, sets of fingers, not quite sure what it's all about, but if it helps her, then I guess who are we to suggest she shouldn't be doing it? Good run-up speed. Is she on the board? She hangs in the air, and that could be a slightly better jump for, and she gets a red flag. So, Regis, after her third round, and she was just over the ball, into the blue of the plasticine. There you can see, she's over by just about 3/4 of an inch. She goes to Peter Stanley and says that was pretty close, and he said that's fine, just make an allowance at the start of your runway, bring it in a little bit and shorten your stride, or whatever he's going to say to her. Now, next up is Onyon Otonye of Nigeria. Otonye. And she currently is in 9th position with 13.21. So for her to get to the top 8, she has to improve her distance to 13.29. And that would put Charles, the Canadian, who's already had her third attempt, that would put her out of the top 8 and thereby out of the competition. So, on Otonye of Nigeria, just waiting for the runway debris, the bollard and other bits and bobs. You can see there 13.21, and the important figure there is 9 against her name. She's 9th currently and needs to jump more than 13.29 to go forward into the last 8. She's off and running. Bit of a loping sort of last 2 strides into the board. Now, she's jumped 13.65 this year, and you can see her hips are all over the place coming into the board, wobbling around, but she recovered to get the phases in. She's on the board, just, wow, look at that. Oh, right, well, I can see an indent on that, so has she got a no jump? Well, that, you know, that was, well, I'm sorry, the officials, I'll be a better official. But there you go, she's given it, benefit of the doubt, 13.18, but unfortunately, doesn't put her into the top 8, so Otonye of Nigeria will be out of the top 8 and thereby will not proceed further in the competition. Right, Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago took the lead in the first round, got overtaken in the second round, but improved to 13.91, and she currently is in 2nd position. Tricia Smith to her right behind her, just stalking her. She's the current event leader, and she jumped straight after the Trinidadian. We like the shout she does. So off she goes, 3rd attempt in the women's final. Good speed. That's pretty active stuff on the triple jump runway. She thinks she's missed it. She shakes her head. That's great speed into the board. She's on the board. Fantastic first phase. Starts to wobble around a little bit and rotate around the hips. Just loses control a little bit, but you can see here, only just touches the board, so she's virtually taking off the runway, not the board. So she's lost a good 6 or 7 inches in her jump, because she knew it. And despite that, 13.68. So it matches her first round throw, and she's comfortably entrenched in the top 8 at 2nd place. And we now have the leader of the competition following her into the pit. So this is Tricia Smith of Jamaica. Set a new season's best for 2010 in the second round, having fouled the first one. She wants the crowd. She got great long legs. She was in fact torn between netball, I believe, and athletics, and decided to go athletics. And she became, here she goes. 3rd attempt, Tricia Smith. She lands pretty heavy. She looks back, smiles, look back at the flag, and won't improve on her second round jump. So, to wrap, what we can see here, well into the red. Well into the red. So she gets a no jump on her 3rd attempt, but she leads the competition with 14 meters 19. That's pretty impressive. She already came into this competition with the best performance this year of the girls in the event. And she's talking to coach, and there's Lloyd Cowan, who's coach to Christina Oruga, the 400 meter. world and Olympic champion from 2008 and 2007. Right, the third Indian in this competition, jumping 11th, is Malia Kal of India. She currently holds 7th position, so she's the last athlete, so she's going to make the cut, what we call it when you get in that top 8. She'll make the cut, but this will possibly change her position in that final 8. She currently looks in 7th. And you can see the eyes are wide. You can feel the tension. 13.34 on her first jump, puts her 7th at the moment. Good speed into the runway, on the board. And that's a pretty good jump. The crowd like it. She likes it, gets the white flag. Good speed into the takeoff zone, on the board. Right foot to right foot, step, face, great jump, great height. And that's her best jump, I think, of the evening. Right, we'll see if she's improved on her first round jump. And she has, 13.53, but she still stays in 7th position, and that just shows how close this competition is between the 3rd and 7th positions. 8th position finished off at 13.29. Here's the leader, Tricia Smith of Jamaica, 14 meters 19 on her second jump, two no jumps on her other goes, 1st and 3rd. But sandwiched in between that is that 14.19. Season's best for Tricia Smith. She is the defending champion from 2006. So the cut is made after the first 3 rounds. We've got Smith in first place, 14.19, season's best. Alexander, Trinidad and Tobago, second, 13.91, season's best. Nadia Williams from England in third, 13.66. Fourth, Mathal Likunal, 13.58 of India. Sarah Nambawa of Uganda in fifth, 55. Yasmin Regis sixth, 13.55, season's best. And 7th, we've got Malia Kal with that jump, 13.53, which is the season's best. And taking the last slot into the final 8, the cut is made at 8th, Tabia Charles of Canada, 13.29. The others, unfortunately, miss out on going through to the next round. Now what happens now is the officials go down and have a look at the results and top 8s. They'll clean everything up, break the pit, and crucially what they do now is they go and reverse the jumping order. So Smith will be last to jump in this final 8 jumpers having their last 3 attempts. And what happens now is they reverse the order, so 8th jumps first and first jumps 8th. That happens during the 4th and 5th round. And then when they get to the final round, they reverse the new listing. So if anybody jumps further than they have currently and moves up in placing terms, they'll get revised during the 6th round. So if anybody does a startling performance, they have a chance to be able to jump after anybody that has jumped less than them during the competition. So it's progressing nicely. We've had a 14-meter jump, which the event justifies, and good crowd in here tonight for the athletics, and obviously incredibly patriotic. You'd expect that. And the good thing about this meeting tonight, certainly in terms of coaching in the field events, is that because of the width of the running track and then the space the other side of it, on both sides of the track, it's been well designed because coaches actually don't have to sit in the stand. They can get close to the athletes behind the hoardings. Now that is allowed as part of the RFF in the stand. So this usually takes 3 or 4 minutes to just review the running order for the jumps, and I know that Charles from Canada was 8th in that first chunk of jumps, the first 3 rounds, and as a result of that she'll be first up for the 4th round attempt. Here we've got the England girl that currently sits in the 3rd medal position. That's Nadia Williams of England, 13.66 she jumped on her 3rd attempt, and that's just 2 centimetres off her personal best, which she jumped in 2010. So this year she's just 2 centimetres off. And what you're looking for in these throws and jumps events is that you're just looking for athletes to perform within 1% of their season's best, and if they do that and it's a good enough mark, they'll be in the medal zone. So Williams just confirming that sort of little statistic that I know coaches use around the world. Consistency. There's Lloyd Cowan. He coached Andy Turner, who won the hurdles earlier this evening, and coached to Christine O'Ruagu, the 400-metre champion in Beijing. It's been injured and was coming to the games, but unfortunately had a setback just before they got on the plane. So nice wide angle there, good crowd behind the pole vault stands there and round the back straight where this triple jump is taking place. And it still remains pretty warm out there, and the humidity has dropped just a little bit. And we're just waiting for the Canadian, you can see in the background, getting ready to take the first jump in this next phase of the competition. So we'll move into the 4th round. She'll be coming onto the runway because the officials would have told her to get ready, so she'll just do a quick shake the legs up. Judge comes back, confirms with the athletes the running order and how they sit in terms of the competition, but these girls are well experienced now and they'll know it. So we're just waiting patiently here whilst the judges just confirm the order with the athletes, and the runway is cleared, and there it goes, the bollard's off. And as soon as that bollard goes, the clock should count down, but they're just sort of waiting for the athlete to prepare and step forward to their mark. And you can see the clock start counting down. So there you go, 13.24, 29 in the first round means she got into 8th position. And she's the first off in the 4th round. So this is Charles of Canada, 4th round attempt. Well, it seemed to be certainly controlled. You can see there's rotation around the hips there, sort of turning her as she goes through the phases. And then as a consequence you land in that final phase for the jump, and you're just twisting on yourself a little bit. And you can see she lands and twists slightly, so she's on the board, which is good, and she's been consistent around 13.20 tonight. So Charles, and we're just waiting for the distance to come up, and here it comes, 13.18, so it doesn't touch her 13.29, and she stays in 8th position because she's the first girl off in this 4th round. So second up, we now got the Indian girl, Malia Kal Rajusha, what a lovely name, and the crowd like this. They'd like to see her jump well past 13.53. That was quite an improvement in the 3rd round, so can she carry on an improvement at that rate? If so, she'll jump up into bronze medal position, 13.66 for that. Here she goes, good speed, good intent, and yes, that's a good jump. Well done to the Indian girl. So she came into this 4th round in 7th place, but that's tremendous commitment on the runway. Foot nailed onto the board, and then you can see great height. Not a great leg shoot, but she got a lot of height and covered a lot of ground. So On the run-up, she hits the board. She gets good knee lift, stretches out, and that's going to start to attack that bronze medal position. Well, there you go, 13.72. She moves from 7th to 3rd in one easy jump. Well done to the Indian, and the crowd love it. They love it. She could be on a bronze medal podium, but there's plenty of action to follow. So Malia Carl moves up to that. We now have Yasmin Regis coming in for a 4th attempt. Now she's had one jump at 13.55. She failed her 3rd attempt. The first jump was poor, and she is it's all. I don't think so. Is that better? Yasmin Regis is ready to jump. This is her 4th attempt. She hangs in the step phase. Is that an improvement? The Indian girl on the previous jump has moved her down into 7th position now. Good running speed into the board. She tends to hang in that position, that 2nd phase. And then really, does she get out of that position into the jump? Well, probably not as effectively as she could. So she's on the board. She goes to chats with Peter Stanley. We wait for the distance to come up, 13.44. And she's in 7th position now, because the Indian on the earlier jump has actually jumped into the bronze medal position. So next up to jump is Nambawa of Uganda. And the Ugandan currently sits in 6th position with 13.55. She's been very accurate tonight. She's had 2 attempts at 13.55, so she wins the prize for accuracy. She wants the crowd to clap. I think they're nearly into this, but they certainly like their own athletes in the triple jump. But off she goes. She's got to get 13.70 to get in the medal zone. Totally out of control. So she comes in fast, and she gets off balance at points of contact on the board. And from that moment, she's lost balance. You can see the hop phase into the step phase. She just lost balance. And you'll see this from here. She's leaning forward, she can't control it, and wastes the opportunity. So no jump for her 4th attempt. Sometimes too much speed causes that sort of error. So this is other Indian that's in this top 8. So we've got Mathali Kunnu, who was in 4th earlier, but has been overtaken by her colleague and fellow athlete, Malia Carl, and she's got 13.58 to her name in the 2nd round. But to get into the medal zone, she's got to clear 13.72, which is what Malia Carl, her fellow athlete from India, achieved on her 4th round attempt. And she literally leapt into the medal position. Good running style. To the board. Long legs, pumping like pistons. And it's going to be between the 13 and 14 metre mark. So pretty consistent for Mathali Kunnu. Just waiting for the distance to come up. Good on the board. Good discipline. And 13.49. She's very consistent, the Indian girl, but 13.58 in the 2nd round, still her best, and she is currently in 5th position after her 4th jump, her 4th attempt. So next to jump, she was in bronze medal position at the start of this 4th round, but Nadia Williams now finds herself in fourth, just outside the medal positions. 13.66 on her third attempt, put her into that third position, but that was eclipsed by Maliakal, the Indian, jumping 13.72 on her fourth round jump. So 13.72 or better puts her back into the medal zone. There you go, 13.66 on the third attempt, now in fourth position for Williams of England. Can she do it? She wants to do it, it's whether she can. Composes herself, and off she sets towards the board. Good speed, good on the board, and somebody's saying yes, I can hear that's a good attempt from a good response from Nadia Williams. It's going to be around the distance that the Indian girl jumped, 13.72, over rotating a little bit, so she lost a little bit of impetus into the jump phase. She's on the board. That's a great position for her right foot on the board, and slightly less than her third round jump, 13.58. And you can see that in her jump phase, step phase, that actually she was rotating forwards and just lost the impetus. Now, she's clearly in second place, Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago. 13.91 puts her there in the second round. She was actually in the lead after the first round, and actually then improved that lead, but then was taken by Tricia Smith in the second round from Jamaica. So she's in second place. She's been consistently good. 13.91, her best jump in the second round. This is her fourth round attempt. Good speed on the board, and it's out to the sort of middle to late 13 meters. She doesn't look too excited by it all. Nonchalantly walks away from the pit. She's got good speed, she's a good sprinter, this young lady from Trinidad. 13.81, that's her second best attempt of the evening, but she stays in second place. She's got to get over 14.19, because 14.19 is what Tricia Smith has jumped. She's had two no jumps, but the one that really matters was that second round attempt of 14 meters 19. She's a seasoned campaigner. She's 34 years old. She's a defending champion. She's the only world champion that Jamaica have had in a field event. She's a star in her own right. 14.19 first. Tricia K. Smith, Jamaica. Here she goes. And wasn't right. Set off. She grins and laughs and talks to herself. You can see her questioning what she's up to. She shouldn't be wasting jumps like that, but I guess if 14.19 stays on the board and Noli gets past that, then she's going to be smiling at the end of the competition. But the pressure will be on if the Trinidad and Tobago athlete doesn't step up. But she's got a bit of space. She's comfortably in the lead. She's 28 centimeters ahead. So we go into the fifth round. Charles of Canada, best of 13.29 set in the first round, and she's been consistent for two other jumps. One was poor, but she certainly got the shape and the build for triple jumping, that's sure. Long legs, good speed, and in she goes. Good springs. She's on, and she's into the pit. Now that looks slightly better. Is that going to move her up the board? She stayed in 8th position after her 4th round attempt. This is her 5th round. She's the first up in the 5th round. It's an uneven, sort of unbalanced phase of jumping and hopping. So she's at a fantastic position on the board. And Charles has definitely got a better jump here tonight on this attempt. She's done 13.99 this year, so she's languishing a bit in 8th position with her pedigree. So we're just waiting for that distance. Oh wow, 13.84, and she's now taken the bronze medal position. So she goes from 8th to 3rd in one foul swoop. And the Indian, who made the same move after a 4th round, who comes onto the screen now, she now moves down out of medal position into 4th place. Can she respond? Well, we'll know in about 30 seconds, because the crowd, once they see her on this round, they're going to go crazy. Here they go. Crowd in. Serious talk with oneself on the runway. We do a little bit of propeller work. It's a fairly strange preparation to jump, but it's effective. 13.72. 5th round attempt. Here she goes. Good speed. It's a good attempt, but I don't think you can see her feet went out, and then she fell into the sand. And of course the mark is taken from the mark that is nearest the board. And it looked like she was going, and she just didn't quite get that jump phase right. So Malia Karl, who made that great improvement, goes back to being normal. So the superwoman that we had in 13.72 4th round jumps 13.27 in the 5th. The excitement just a little bit too much. Coach is just saying, calm down, it's there, you can do it. And we move to Yasmin Regis, who now is in 8th position. So having been 6th at the start of this 4th and 5th round phase, she's now needs to jump 13.55 or better to creep up the board. So she wants the crowd's help. So here she goes. Yasmin Regis, 5th round attempt. Currently lying in 8th position out of the 8 that are competing in this phase of the competition. She's off and running. Well, it could be better. She certainly didn't hang as much in the step phase, and as a consequence was a bit more active out of the jump. So there it is, hop, big hop. Step phase good, jump phase slightly better, and that may have improved her. But there again, 13.27, no. That 13.55 in the 2nd round, still a best jump, and that set her up in 8th position. So that's 5 jumps under a belt. She's got 1 to go in the 6th round when they reshuffle the pack again. So we now have Nambawa from Uganda, who is in currently 7th position. So Regis and Nambawa in 8th and 7th respectively, and for her to move up, she needs to better that 13.55 that she's actually jumped twice in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. No jump in the 4th. She needs to get close to 14 meters to pressurize the medals. Good speed. Can she control it? No. And run throughs. Red flag. Goes up behind her. You can see that. Now she looks a little sore there, so she's pulling faces, and something didn't feel quite right. And there we go, 2 no jumps. Best jumps have been 2nd and 3rd rounds, and 13.55 puts her 7th at this moment in time. Now the next up to jump is Mathali Kunu, who with 13.58 in her 2nd round puts her currently in 6th position, and to progress further up the charts she needs for medal position bronze 13.84, currently held by Charles of Canada, who was in 8th place and has jumped up and leapt up the field to 3rd. So it's possible it can happen. So they're just checking the board and checking that the plasticine is smooth and there's no debris around the takeoff area, and you can see that there is a splinter. Somebody's put their spike right on there, and they want to just clear that away. Yeah, they're just clearing this bit of a splinter in the wood there. So they got the biggest nail I've seen in my life, which is just being used. So wipe off. And the Indian girl now, the crowd, once they see her get on the runway, will hear the crescendo of noise, a cacophony of sound resonating around the stadium. So, Mathali Kanal, India, 5th attempt. Can she progress in this competition? Higher up the board. Long legs. Oh, that could be a good jump. And she gets the red flag. And you can see from the replay a good 3 inches over the board, so she gets the red flag. So 13.58 in the second round puts her in that 6th position. You can see that the board's getting better pummeling from these athletes. Very long legs, this Indian girl, so we can expect her perhaps to do something a bit special in the 6th round. We'll have to wait and see for that. So the next up to compete their 5th round is Williams of England, who now finds herself in 5th position, who after the first 3 rounds was in bronze medal position. So these events do change round. So to get into the medal zone, she needs to clear 13.84 that Charles of Canada achieved on her 5th round attempt. Now, Williams has jumped 13.66 on the 3rd round. That put her into that 3rd medal slot at that time, but she's now down in 5th position, out of the medal zone at this moment in time. Can she get back into that bronze medal place? We'll soon see. And she sets off. 5th round attempt. Nadia Williams, England. Well, it sounded as if it was pretty heavy, and the red flag goes up. So sometimes you can try too hard, and that's just a fractional foul for Williams. And I think she's feeling quite good. She's feeling fairly sharp. Peter Stanley will be saying, you know, from his experience over the years, we work with people like Jonathan Edwards, Lloyd Cowan, just leaning in and listening into the situation. She'll have one more attempt, and we'll have another presentation ceremony, which will just put the stop on this before we have our final 2 jumpers coming into the 5th to culminate the fifth round of this triple jump competition. And those 2 athletes in screen, we have Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago, who's had a series of good jumps, just under 14 meters. 13.91 is her best jump, and she did that in the 2nd round. And she had 13.81 in her 4th round jump. So, but she's led by Smith, the Jamaican, who's only had 1 valley jump, but of course that's the important one, 14 meters 19. So Smith, who will be a bit frustrated that she's not been more consistent, but she's definitely got experience. And I've said it before, but she is the defending champion of this Commonwealth Games triple jump crown. And she'll be desperate to put 2 of those gold medals in her locker. And again, I said it earlier, but she holds the highest esteem in Jamaica because she's been their one and only field event gold medalist at a World Championships. And she achieved that in 2005 in Helsinki at the World Championships there. And I can remember that championships, it rained for a week. And we had web feet at the end of it, and it was very cold. We were competing in 5 and 6 degrees in the summer in Helsinki. Bit different to what we've got in Delhi. 30 degrees and humid. So, can she get over that 14-meter line? This is Alexander, 5th attempt, Trinidad and Tobago. She looks up for it. She's got good speed on the runway. She's got springs in her legs, so let's see if she can nail this 5th round attempt to put Tricia Smith of Jamaica under a bit more pressure than she is currently. And we still got the officials doing running repairs on the board. I think they're happy. He's going to move the bollard. We'll see the clock. 1 minute they have to complete their jumps. And Alexander from Trinidad and Tobago screams at herself. And 13.91 with a minus 0.2 metre per second wind. Slight wind in her face. It's been round about 0, minus, plus all evening. So this won't affect them. Here we go. She's off. Alexander, 5th attempt. Good speed. On the board. And she gets the white flag. Good speed, cuts the stride to accommodate the lift, hop to step, and then jump into the pit. And that will be, I think, around 14 metres, just under that. And good on the board, good running style. She's been consistent this evening, the Trinidad and Tobago athlete. Keeping her eyes focused. Tongue sticking out as she does the phases. We're just waiting for the distance to come up. And 13.82. So 13.91 in the second round. We're going to be... Smith seems, I think, to be in the driving seat. She's got a kit on. So that means only one thing, that she's going to miss her 5th round attempt. What happens now is the top 8 get shuffled, the pack is shuffled. Any differences in performance, and we have 1 or 2, means that Smith still stays and jumps last. Alexander still in 2nd place, jumps 2nd to last. But Charles of Canada, who was in 8th position at the start of this 2nd phase of the competition, moves from 8th to 3rd, so she'll jump 3rd to last. And the athlete that now kicks off the 6th round will be Yasmin Regis of England. And we'll wait for that graphic to come up to give you the actual jumping order. Here we go. So, in leading position is Smith of Jamaica, 14.19, season's best. Alexander, Trinidad and Tobago, in 2nd, 13.91. Charles, Canada, moved up to 3rd after the 3rd round, 13.84. Malia Kal was in the medal position for a while, but she's now in 4th, and it's a new record for the Indian, 13.72. Williams of England, 13.66, and Mathalikano, 13.58, is in 6th. 7th and 8th positions, which are the important ones. We got Regis in 8th with a season best, same distance in 7th. Nambawa, and she holds 7th because she has a better 2nd jump. Now, the order is reversed. Regis will be first up to start the 6th and final round. And if nobody goes further than the Jamaican has currently jumped, 14.19, then I'll be probably surprised to see her come out and take a 6th round jump. She may have a niggle in her ankle. Bless her, she's 34 years old now. There's been a few war wounds in there, but she seems to be running fairly smoothly. She'll be wanting to keep the legs oiled and moving and working. Despite her advancing years as an athlete, she's done incredibly well in her athletic career. So far, world champion in 2005, and of course defending champion of the Commonwealth title that she won in Melbourne in 2006. So we're just waiting for the officials to confirm the order of the athletes in this final round, and they'll be just keeping their muscles and keeping their concentration tight as they wait for the final order to be confirmed. Crowd waiting in anticipation. They had their fingertips on a medal when the Indian Malia Kal moved into the bronze medal spot after the 4th round. That was taken off her. That was taken off her by Charles jumping in the 4th round, 13.84. That leapfrogged her into the bronze medal position, and she's held that now for 2 rounds. So the opportunity is there for anybody within this competition to be able to take advantage of the situation and jump out to this medal winning distance. Right, there's a picture of the Trinidad and Tobago athlete Alexander, who currently holds silver medal slot in this triple jump competition. And there's a back shot of the Jamaican who holds first position in the competition with a second round jump of 14 meters 19. She's had 3 no jumps since then and a pass, and the 6th round, which seems to be taking an enormously long time to sort out. But we are waiting patiently for this 6th and final round to start. And first up in this round, in the final round, the 6th round, will be Yasmin Regis of England. She sits in 8th place with 13.55. Coming out onto the runway. And she's trying to invigorate those legs to try and creep up this leaderboard. She wants the crowd to help. Tricia Smith behind her is trying to get the crowd going. The Indians are clapping around her in this competition, and the crowd are responding. So this is Regis's last jump in this triple jump final. She resides in 8th position at this moment in time. Can she make an improvement? We'll soon find out. She runs through. Red flag. 8th position will be on Regis's result sheet, and she'll be disappointed with that, but just jumping below her season's best in this competition. And 13.55 will be her best mark, and she'll finish in 8th position. Now, next up, the crowd are going to like this as they start to get the Indians. But this is Nambawa of Uganda. She's actually jumped the same as Regis, but has 2 jumps at that distance and holds sway and 7th position. Now, she's lost control on a couple, those 2 crosses. She's fast on the runway. Was she on the board? We'll soon find out. She goes from the pitch, the flag goes up, the man goes in the sand with the marker, and she's quick, but she doesn't get a lot of lift off her phases, so it goes fast forwards, but the height is compromised. And we like to see a good balance of height off the phases, so when that foot hits the ground, she wants to generate force upwards as well as forwards. So we're waiting for that distance to come up. It could be an improvement. Oh well, 13.71, and she moves from 7th to 5th. She's not going to win a medal tonight, but she has improved. 13.71, down on her season best of 13.95, but closer to it, and a good performance on her last jump. The crowd are going to like this. Mathele Kundu, who's been now overtaken by Nambawa and goes into 7th position. She's jumped 13.58 tonight. So can the crowd help her to jump further? 13.58 in the 2nd round. The wind has been nondescript throughout the competition, slightly minus. Doesn't matter, it's not helping. And off she sets. The crowd roars. Wow. It was a good attempt, but she seemed to come over to the left-hand side of the pit. And in the jump phase, you could see that she pushed off. So she's on the board, runs off, good hop, good step, and just doesn't generate enough height in that final phase to really cause the athletes that have jumped further than her tonight further up the board, further up the field. So 13.45, her best attempt is in the second round, 13.58, and she finishes in 7th position. So here we go. She was in bronze after the 3rd round. She's now in 6th position. Nambawa, the Ugandan, has moved above her with her last jump that we saw, 13.71. Williams' best so far, 13.66. She had a no jump on her 5th attempt. She looks in pretty good shape, but she fouled the last attempt. So this is when you find the characters that the athletes have. 13.84 will secure, or certainly put her in bronze medal position. It won't secure it because there are 3 girls to jump to get that position, but 13.66, she's not a million miles off it, but can she nail it? This is about pressure. This is about the ability to handle pressure. She's got to run in fast, and she's got to put that takeoff foot on the board and then go through the phases. She's setting off with intent. Williams, England. So go out of the board. Disappointing performance for Williams. She fouled it over the board. Couldn't quite gauge what she was doing. 2 no jumps, ends the competition in 6th position. Screams at herself and the floor, smiles at the coach, doesn't look too worried, enjoyed the competition but disappointed, missed the opportunity. Right, so we're getting to the exciting business end of this competition, coming into the final phases of the 6th and final round. This girl is currently in 4th position. She was in bronze medal after the 4th round, got overtaken by Charles of Canada, who jumps after her. So this is Malia Kal of India. She needs 13.84. It won't be through want of trying, and it certainly won't be without the efforts of this fantastic crowd that are screaming her on. 13.84 puts her in the bronze medal. 13.91 puts her silver. 14.19 takes the gold medal slot. So, can she do it? Off she goes. Last attempt. Can she get in the medal zone? Good speed. Good phase. Just lost it in the last one. The jump just wasn't effective. It looked like she was on her way, tightened up on the last phase of the 3 phases. This is good. Big hop. Good step. And then just lost control. So we're just waiting for the final distance, and 13.37. So she'll finish in 4th slot, just outside the medals. 13.72 in the 4th round. But great attempt, and she did try her heart out. So Charles of Canada will win the bronze at worst. She needs 13.91 to get into silver medal, and then of course Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago will have the chance to reply. So Alexander, Trinidad will be watching this very, very closely. Charles went from 8th to 3rd on her 5th round attempt. So she can make big improvements, this girl. She's got some springs. She's got long legs. She has some pedigree because she's jumped 13.99 this year. She was an Olympic long jump finalist in Beijing, and she's the Canadian record holder at long and triple jump, indoors and out. 13.84 in the 5th round. She's getting better as she goes through this competition. Can she go further? 13.91. 13.91 gets the silver or better. Off she goes. She's on the board. And the red flag. So she takes home the bronze, and she comes out and makes a slight expletive. But that 13.84 in the 5th round gets her the bronze medal. She'll be pleased with that on reflection. Disappointed that she missed the opportunity to go better. So we now only have the silver and gold medals to resolve. Ayana Alexander of Trinidad and Tobago. She's got the nicest red and grey and white socks in the stadium. She's good on the runway. She's quick, she's fast, she runs within 10. She's got to put her takeoff foot on that board. She's then got to have 3 phases that propel her into the sand. And she's got to break the sand at 14 meters 20, because 14 meters 19, actually if she jumped 14.19, this phase should have a better second jump. So can she get 14.19 or better? Because if she does, Tricia Smith will have to go for it on her 6th and final jump, which will be the final jump of the competition. Alexander, Trinidad and Tobago, off she goes. She's on the board. And my feelings are, and she thinks, disappointed slightly. She sort of gets on the board. She's leaning back in that last phase, so that doesn't help the final delivery in the leg shoot. And it's a good jump. In fact, it's the second best jump for her competition, 13.87. So 13.87 secures a silver medal, and Tricia Smith has taken her tracksuit bottoms off. She's taken her t-shirt off. She's the proud bearer of the Jamaican vest. And she is now jumping for the pleasure, because she already knows 14.19 has secured her the gold medal. She jumped it in the 2nd round. She's won the gold. She's retained the title she won in 2006 in Melbourne. This could be the final jump she ever makes. She's 34 years of age now, and she's going to love every second of it. Tricia Smith, triple jump, gold medal winner, 2010. And she finishes not with a flourish, but with a red flag. But she takes the gold medal. She retains the title she won in Melbourne in 2006. 5 out of 6 no jumps, she says to coaching staff. She's probably a bit disgusted. She'll remember 5 no jumps in her final, but she had 1 jump that mattered. And you can see the difference in height of these 2 girls. So Tricia K. Smith, Jamaica, retains her title she won in Melbourne in 2006 with 14 meters 19. She was the only girl to get over and step over the 14-meter line, and she did it just needing 1 jump, because the rest of her attempts were foul attempts. And Trinidad and Tobago, silver medal. And we'll get them on the medal chart. She says 13.91. And the Canadian, who really did make a massive improvement, her best prior to the 13.84 in the 5th round was 13.29. So she improved half a meter to take that bronze medal. And Trisha's just still talking about the 5 no jumps. They're etched in her mind, they're etched in her feet, they're etched in the sand. So perhaps you'll go down and ask that field judge if she can take that red flag home, because she's done enough to earn it. There you go.
Steph, Margaret.
Saying thanks to people at home. And the Jamaicans will be singing in the village tonight for Tricia Smith. The Canadian left from 8th place to 3rd in 1 foul swoop, and she takes the bronze medal. Trinidad and Tobago take the silver,